how would you fix therapy?
Dang. You know what? I think if I was to answer that, like, I really think people should just be hardcore honest, and not try. I would not have said this 15 years ago. I would have probably advocated for kind of being neutral and limited self-disclosure and stuff like that. But I have a little blurb that I give almost every client where I say, I'm a married father of four. My wife homeschools. We believe in traditional gender roles. I'm a Christian. I graduated from a seminary, and I cannot remove that from myself. It doesn't
Hmm.
mean I don't love you, that I'm not going to work with you, that I'm not interested in who you are, but those are my biases. That's what I'm built like. And then what I do is I invite the client to share their biases and their sides and their angles. And then it's like you got that on the table, and it's like, okay, this is where we're both coming from. Can we work together? And I've never out of 200 clients had one tell me that they can't. And 90% of the
Hmm.
time they say, thank you for being so honest. That's awesome. Because otherwise you're just not being, I think there's a certain amount of transparency that has to happen. I'm not talking about self-disclosure that would get you in trouble, but just transparency that you're putting yourself out there versus trying to pretend that you're not who you are.
I feel like there's this kind of mentality that I see where it's like a good therapist is supposed to fake this type of authenticity. And what you're saying is just like actually
Yeah.
be authentic.
How about you just actually be authentic, And I could honestly see it. Like I said, I could be a little less rigid if, say, I was the only therapist in town. Like if, for example, so say I told them that I was a Christian and they were like a hardcore atheist client. I could see that, like maybe I might make them uncomfortable and they're just not going to do therapy. So that means there's no therapist for them to go to. I might be a little less rigid in that state. But in the situation like we're in now, like in my particular town, there's a million therapists for them to go to. I might as well be honest about who I am and what I'm about and hope that they do the same thing. And like I
Yeah.
said, I haven't seen it backfire yet.